been a busy couple of days at West Ham, as always. And when is it ever really quiet at West Ham? My word, this season's been, in terms of circus, it's been pretty full on, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's been very much circus mode in East London. But I think there's a bit of positivity in all of this. I really do. I'm parking the John Duran stuff. I think that's a diabolical joke. You know, I said that in my video. I don't think I used those words in that video at the time when I was doing the video by the Thames talking about the bid. Absolute disgrace from West Ham really putting that bid in. It's just embarrassing. I'm not impressed with that at all. I don't want to focus on that. I don't really want to be leaning on towards negativity and that kind of stuff. I want to try and be a little bit more optimistic. And I think there's a couple of reasons for optimism. At the moment, as I record this, now this is at 5:20 Wednesday evening. So that Banzuzi deal at the moment, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the midfielder. This has been denied at the moment. Banzuzi. This is the attacking midfielder, the Dutchman. So just a quick one on that before I go into the video properly. As it stands, that deal isn't agreed yet. It's all over sort of Sky. It's everywhere. West Ham have agreed a deal, £10 million plus £3 million. It's really close. I think it could possibly happen. But there's the latest update we got from a top source at the club has said. Not sure where the story's come from. We said 2 weeks ago that unlikely to sell during this window, but we do feel there's confidence actually that West Ham possibly will get an agreement over the line. But as it stands at the moment, that's actually not the case. But by the time this goes out, that this could be old and it might well have changed. But yeah, as it stands, I say at 5:20. No, there's no deal agreed. But West Ham are working hard on transfers. A couple of things I want to talk about in this video are Graham Potter, and I want to talk about new sponsorship. The sponsorship stuff's really interesting, but I'm going to come to that after. I'm going to save that nugget of information. Before I go into that, though, if you're new to the channel, then do subscribe. We really appreciate it, and hit that like button because that is what gets us noticed by other people. The algorithm, it picks us up, and then we attract new audiences and other West Ham fans over. So we really do appreciate it. And of course, subscribing is something funny because a lot of people think they're subscribed, but they're not. Because I'm the same when I'm on YouTube, so do check. If you're not, just go and double check and see if you're subscribed. If you're not, do subscribe. As I say, it helps us grow, and we really do appreciate it. Let's talk about Graham Potter. I've got to say, the way that he has manoeuvred himself into a position of power at West Ham is pretty impressive. I think it's fair to say that. It wasn't so long ago, right, that Graham Potter and West Ham, it was almost like we were going to do him a favour. West Ham are going to offer him a short-term deal to try and revive his career. And then if you do well, Graham, then we might offer you a deal in the summer. That was kind of the angle it was coming out, doesn't it, about West Ham appointing him. It's far from that now. It's far from that. It's very much the case that I think West Ham are quite impressed with Potter. And it's quite clear that during the negotiations for him to take over from Lopetegui, he's made his feelings very clear about what he expects and what he wants at West Ham. And I'm really pleased to see it. Really, really pleased. Disclaimer, before I go into this, right, I know people are going to slate me for having a go at Steidten. I'm not having a go at Steidten, right? I'm just telling you what's going on. But there's a lot of protection about Steidten. I get it. I do understand why. I feel like it's to do with the fact that people just want to see change, don't like the idea of David Sullivan running things and being in firmly controlled transfers and everything else. And they want to see the director of football model. I am totally on your side. I really don't want to see David Sullivan involved. And you know my feelings on that. I want to see West Ham change ownership in January in the long run. That's what I want to see. However, for the purpose of this video, what I'm talking about is what's gone on with Steidten at the moment and where now things currently sit. So, as I say, Graham Potter at the time, when his first move to come to the job, it was like, yeah, West Ham are doing him this big favour. And now that you can see that actually that isn't the case at all. Graham Potter's not only taken over from the job, he's not got this 6-month or break clause in his contract. It is a flat 2.5-year deal. And anyone that sort of questions that and says, no, I'm pretty sure West Ham can get out of this in the summer, they won't, because that's why West Ham have got an appointed Carl McCauley from Chelsea, who is their analyst. He is their data analyst. He's a data analyst that's basically been Potter's right-hand man throughout his whole career. He's followed him every club he's been at. And highly regarded, so highly regarded that Chelsea didn't want to let him go. Obviously, he stayed, didn't he, after they let go of Potter at Chelsea previously. So it kind of gives an indication of how well respected he is, which I'm really pleased about. What it does, it leaves Tim Steidten's job untenable. Basically, the club wants Steidten out. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to force him out the door. I think anyway. I mean, his powers have been completely diminished. He's now no longer in charge of transfers. He doesn't. I think all he basically is now, as it stands, is an advisor. That's it. He can just come in and say, yeah, blah, 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 this is what I recommend. I think that's as far as it goes now. He won't be involved in negotiations with players, as far as I understand it. He won't be involved in deciding who we're going for, etc. And I'm kind of mixed minds about it. I mean, part of me, like I was just saying, I get why people get frustrated, and I feel like that. I really want to see Steidten do well, and I don't think it's all bad. I don't look at his record and go, God, it's been diabolical. But there is a bigger picture, I think, with him in terms of certain aspects. I've talked about it a little bit on the video. I want to be a bit careful here because I will get slated and people don't like me sort of talking about Steidten too much. But I'm just going to just say, with clarity, I feel like there have been issues behind the scenes. Quite a fair bit of Steidten's been involved in that. And I think it's upset a few people in terms of certain way conducts have been carried out. And then you've got to look at the, by what I mean by that, by the way, is things like, being banned from dressing rooms, being around players all the time, being in the tunnel, and being around match days, doing interviews with TV and all that, all this sort of stuff. I personally, it's just me, I don't think it's a great reflection. I don't think really a director of football should be doing all that sort of stuff. I think you should be behind the scenes, working on what you should be doing. I don't think you should be front of house, dealing with players on match days. I just don't think it's right. We've seen it before with David Moyes, where he banned him from the training ground and the dressing room because there was issues. We've seen it again with Lopetegui. So I'm just going on what I'm seeing here, right? And that's just facts. It doesn't look great, does it? Let's be honest. And then you throw in, of course, the summer, which has seen, we understand it, the 3 signings, big signs, were Steidten's. He pushed and said, we've got to get them. It was Guilherme, who the club are trying to offload. Clearly don't rate him, do they? Let's be honest. If they're trying to get rid of him now, they're not impressed with what they've signed. Obviously, £20 million on an 18-year-old seems to be a bit of a flop in terms of, not for the player. I feel for the player. I think West Ham have treated him terribly. I think to bring over a young lad like that from Brazil and have no plan for him is a joke. But it's a bad move from the club. It shouldn't have happened. And then obviously, unfortunately, it will fall under Steidten. He will take the blame for that one. I'm not saying it is all his fault, that transfer. I think West Ham didn't prepare for it properly in terms of his development. We never do this right. But he is going to be the fall guy for it. You then got to look at Nicholas Füllkrug. Went for John Duran, couldn't get it done. We go for Füllkrug, and then, an injury-ravaged time at the club. And it's just been a bit of a disaster signing. Another striker disaster to add to the list. So that's not good. And then, of course, you've got Todibo, Jean-Claire Todibo, who has had fallings out with the previous manager. He's injured again. He's now back in France, and they're getting all this. These aren't looking great. Let's be honest. And don't get me wrong, there's an element of sympathy there. There always is. I had sympathy for Lopetegui, even though I was very, very much desperate to see the back of him. I still have sympathy for the guy, and I don't. It's never nice seeing people lose their jobs and not doing well. You want to see people do well, but it appears that Steidten's on his way out. And what's interesting about Graham Potter is he's manoeuvred all of this. This guy's come into West Ham, clearly say, this is my team, this is who I want. I want this guy from Chelsea. This is the contract I want. And he's got it. West Ham are bending over backwards here and making sure he's got it. And that pleases me. I want to see that. I want to see our head coach being fully backed. Because rightly so. If Graham Potter is to succeed at West Ham, which I am more optimistic than I've had in quite a long time in terms of managers to do, I do feel like that this could be a really good fit for West Ham, then you've got to back him. Do you know what I mean? There's no point going into him and going, well, yeah, we'll give you a bit of what you need. You've got to back him completely. It'd be interesting to see about the director of football role, because let's get it right. Macaulay, Carl Macaulay's not a director of football. He's an analyst. The director of football model, say for Brighton, was Dan Ashworth, who we know is available. It's going to be interesting. Or do we then say Mark Noble steps straight into that role? I don't know. I don't know enough about that yet. That's obviously going to be something that's going to develop in time, and they are going to have to shift things around. But it appears Tim Steidten is on his way out. An ex-WHU employee has provided an update on it and basically said that Steidten's actually looking for work now, looking around, and could possibly walk. But I feel like his exit from the club is imminent. So it's quite impressive how Potter's doing things at West Ham. I think the way he's come into the club, he's invigorated the fan base, he's invigorated the players. He looks like he's trying to build something special at West Ham. He's getting the people involved. I appreciate January's been a bit frustrating in terms of bringing players in, but I don't really like January anyway. The transfer window, I've reported on it enough now over the years, and I find it a painful month really, because everything drags. It always waits to the last minute, which it will happen this time around as well. It feels like that it's going to be the last week where everything sort of starts happening for all clubs, not just West Ham. But I just find it frustrating because it's all, as I said before, it's like a desperation time, you know, and prices go up, it becomes difficult. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment with that. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. By the way, Macaulay starts work tomorrow. He starts officially his first day at West Ham tomorrow. So I think as well that might signal a bit of movement as well, and players we're going to be going for. So it's interesting. I'm really, really pleased with how things are at the moment in terms of that. I mean, a bit of a shame on Steidton not working out, but it is the way it is. But it does feel like his days now are very much numbered. Now let's talk about the sponsorship situation. This has been rumbling on for bloody ages, isn't it? We've been talking about it for a while. For a start, let's just talk about Betway. We know that Betway now won't be the shirt's main sponsor. They've been banned from the 2026-27 season by the Premier League. They're banning all gambling companies from sponsoring Premier League clubs and their front shirts. Okay, that was the rule they brought in. So it's always been known that West Ham are going to be looking for another sponsor. Betway, by the way, are likely to go and be our sleeve sponsor. They're still likely to be involved with West Ham along the way, as we understand it. It might not actually happen, but that's what the talks are about with Betway at the moment. But in terms of the shirt sponsor, I mean, there's always been rumours about it. There was Foot Locker not too long ago. Amazon have come up. Now, Amazon, as far as we understand, this is from ex-WHU employee. Amazon are in talks with West Ham at the moment. And they are not just in talks to be our main sponsor. They want to, in terms of our shirts, they want the whole package. They want to be the stadium to be named Amazon Arena, whatever they want to call it, Amazon Stadium, whatever it'll be. They want to be the shirt's main sponsor, so it'll be Amazon everywhere. This could be absolutely massive for West Ham. It really has the potential to be a huge sponsorship agreement, and I think it'd be more of a partnership as well. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, and there's a bit more to it, but apparently behind the scenes, West Ham are working very, very hard on it and hoping to get this secured, because it could be a huge, huge deal for the club. So that's quite exciting. I'm quite pleased by that, because it feels like about time that with what we've got in terms of our status, you know, in London, this stadium and all this kind of stuff, that we start to see this sort of stuff happening. I was kind of expecting it earlier on. I thought once we get into the stadium, we're going to have big firms clambering to get to us and say, yeah, look, we'll sponsor you and we'll be this and we'll call it the stadium. That I was expecting some sort of big, you know, financial package that West Ham are going to be able to capitalise on, but it just hasn't happened, has it? It's been like the bloody whole situation with this stadium. It never feels like it's managed properly, and that feels as well like that's been the case. It feels like that's about to change. I mean, we've been down this road a couple of times, so we've felt like, oh, you know, we could possibly get in a new deal elsewhere, whatever. But according to X, things are moving forward. So hopefully. Soon we'll get that confirmed and it'll be announced, and West Ham will have Amazon as a long-term partner for stadium naming and for the shirt sponsorship and everything else. So yeah, quite big news. I think it's quite interesting. I just want to, if West Ham can capitalise and move things forward, then I think that's huge. I mean, having someone like bloody, you know, Jeff Bezos associated with West Ham is quite exciting in terms of the money side of things. Not to say that's not going to happen. I'm sure he's not going to have any involvement at this stage. I bloody hope he does. Be quite nice, wouldn't it, to have his checkbook arriving? But I think for the short term as well, you know, for initially in terms of Amazon, I think it's a really good thing. I think it helps the status of the club, you know, being aligned with a huge company like that. I just feel like it just propels us up a little bit. And yeah, exciting times. We're expecting a very busy period now, you know, between now and the end of the transfer window. There's a lot going on. So I thought Banzuzi deal appears to be close, not done as I record this, but it appears to be close. Obviously, we're in link with so many players at the moment. Evan Ferguson, we're in talks with, and a few others, and Andre Silva still there. We've got as a backup option. Apparently, that still's ready to go. So I think West Ham will do some business, I'm sure, this January. But let's just wait and see how it pans out. Come on, you ones.